What a difference a year makes. After an injury plague and cobbled together 2023 season, the Sun Devil offense roared to life last year under new offensive coordinator Marcus Arroyo. With a star quarterback, playmakers all across the board, all behind a veteran offensive line, Arroyo's group has a chance to be one of the nation's very best. On this episode, we break down the position groups, discuss Sam Leavitt's growth and NFL future, the keys to roster retention, the critical importance of program culture, and so much more. So let's get to it. Here's my conversation with ASU offensive coordinator Marcus Arroyo. All right, Marcus, of course, with the season opener just a couple days away, we got to start off with the big, important question. Now that OCs are in the video game, how does it feel to be part of the new cultural phenomenon?
Yeah, I'd be honest. I haven't seen much of it. I don't play much. I grew up without many of those games, so I really don't have a chance to get on there. Pretty cool to see the guys playing and laughing about it, and friends and family and stuff like that. But with all candor, I'm not on that thing at all.
So looking ahead to what actually matters here, like how do you feel that this team, coming off a year in which you guys took home a conference championship, is and so many familiar faces, has kind of handled that success and is kind of dialed in that focus as the returning champs heading into 2025?
I think they've done a good job. I think guys have got back and have got a renewed sense of work and have been humble and have attacked each day and stayed in a mindset and focus that keeps our building and our culture the way it is. And I think the staff being intact and the things that Kenny does on a repetitive basis in regards to really keeping our guys focused on the main thing, I think is going to help a lot as we transition into where we were to where we're going.
How do you feel the rapport, the working relationship with you and Kenny Dillingham has kind of elevated now heading into the second year together?
Good. I mean, it was fun, man. It was a whirlwind. I thought we had a really good initial, conversation and meeting and football initiation between the two of us as we started to talk about how I wanted to do things and what they were and what they did and how he saw it. And it went by kind of a weekly and monthly kind of growth. It was very organic in regards to kind of putting the thing together, how we saw the game, how we saw what we wanted to do. Very different, obviously, with some of the components, but football is a lot the same in many regards, different languages and things like that. And so we communicate really well. I think in game was probably something we were really excited about because in game you don't know until you're there. How you're going to communicate on the headset with guys and how they're going to see it and what situational football things pop up that you're able to communicate. And but it was really good, man. We were connected and it was consistent and it was really, really good communication. And the quality and the content of the thinking was along the same lines.
He's a very quotable guy, and it's something I like to ask the coaches. What's your favorite Dilly-ism?
What's my favorite Dilly-ism? Well, we laugh about last year. It was like every week we'd walk around and he'd walk around and say, "We just get this one," if we just get this one, and we laughed about it because that was in both our minds and hearts. That's all we were really making sure we were focused on. But it was funny because we kept getting this one and doing a good job, and guys stayed focused and it was fun. But that was kind of our running joke, and we get all the way to the playoff was we just get this one.
So if I were to ask your players or your quarterbacks, what's an Arroyo-ism, what do you think they'd say?
Oh man, I don't know. Those things you really don't sometimes ever know until they say them, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, that's it. I think they're almost ones that you do without even thinking about them.
So of course, football is never stagnant. Things are always evolving, and new trends, new schemes, new philosophies. What are some of the things just in the sport of football? Over the last, recently and maybe the last couple of seasons, are you really finding yourself really interested in?
Well, I think every year it's like a puzzle. I think every year you got to kind of reshape yourself and reshape your thinking, and you got a new team and new tools, and it's like I think that's the fun part for me. It's like a puzzle. It's you got to take it apart, you put it all together at the end of the season, you got to pull it back apart, and you got some new pieces, you lost some old pieces, and you got to redo it. And I think I was brought up thinking that way, that every year you got to go ahead and start over and recognize new pieces and find out what it is, who you are, and what you did well, what you can bring over, what you didn't do well, what you need to get rid of, what you need to unload, what are the trends, what are you playing, who are you, and who are you going to build it around. And I think that's the fun part, man. I think that in every offseason, I probably spend a lot of time looking at my cohorts in the NFL and a lot of things that the tree that I'm from and people and things we do that help me kind of get an idea of what's fresh, what are people doing in this? Does it fit your stuff? I think, the older I get, the more I'm looked at things that fit us and fit our players as opposed to just cool plays, because I've never believed in just plays. I believe in an offense. It's got to fit. There's got to be complements to it. It's got to be a nice marriage to certain things. It's got to fit your people. It's got to fit your coaches. Can you coach it? It's a lot of cool things on TV. We can all go say, let's do this. And then, we've got to be able to staff to put that together and let alone players and execute that stuff. So off season has been fun, man. I'm always finding little things, but we're not like some people have been together for, 4 or 5 years now. We're in round 2, and so we get to do it again and hone in on some stuff. And we got a lot of young guys, including their starting quarterback. He's going into his true second season of doing this, and we got to do it better. We can the passion for doing things the right way and focused on the content and the quality of what we're doing is really the pivotal piece.
So before we look ahead to this upcoming season, just want to spend a little time on last year. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about what Cameron Scadaboo brought to that offense. You've coached some amazing players over your time at the pro and college levels. Where does Scat's season kind of rank amongst the best that you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, that's right up there with some of the best seasons we've seen from someone who really probably not been a guy that was highly touted or did as much that the year before. I think the first thing I recognized when we got here was the identity he could set for the offense and what I believed in running the football and play action and being a tough physical group. It's one of the it's if not the top thing we talk about in our offensive identity meetings, and being a tough and physical brand of football, and being locked and loaded is probably the first one, and that's being prepared and being ready to roll, and being finishers. And he embodied a lot of the things that I felt that I like about football, that we like about coaching offense, whether it be throwing the football or running the football. There's still a personality about a team and a unit. And Cam was great because, he was something I was going to build the thing around, and we did. And the guys followed him, and, he had some work to do in regards to just, his coming in and being disciplined to what we're doing in the run game and try to understand how it all works together and fits together, and being able to regulate his wantingness to do it all and do it on his own. And I think we did a good job with that. And I love the guy, man. We talk on a regular basis still. And he got this whole thing started and was, like a lot of other places we've been, was a catalyst to getting it going, whether it was, the Herberts or the Mullins or the James Jones or the whoever it is, Keenan Allen's. Those guys are catalysts to getting your system rolling. And then so I think he was one of the main pieces of it last year, and there's no question about it.
So now that you've had it several months, from kind of the end of that magical run, when you look back, what were some of your favorite moments and experiences over the course of that 2024 season?
Oh God. I mean, they're endless. I mean, from road victories to situational football to making some big plays to, having a bunch of guys, having a lot of different guys just add value, to being back with Leaf again, to guys like Melquan showing up, I think for me, it's just seeing the team, the group aspect actually all have to chip in. Sam did his part. He's the quarterback. He gets the ball every time, but to have JT go out and people step up, to have our tight end group be what they needed to be. And none of them were even here the year before I got here. There's just a lot of stories within the stories on offense for us that when I look back at, I'm like, man, what a time and a place to be, building this thing with people who are that excited about doing it. And it's such great humans who were just love to compete and wanted to seize the opportunities and execute and be around each other. And, there's the list is really, really long in regards to the football that was played, and really being here in ASU in Tempe in their stadium, watching it build and watching it go, and bigger and bigger and bigger fans and more excitement and bigger game. And it was all earned. And I think that's the beautiful part about it. It was absolutely earned. And that's a cool way to go about life and football, is to see things that organically were built, and it gives you a lot of belief, you know.
So being a coordinator at this level obviously is a lot of hard work, a lot of long hours. What for you is the most rewarding part of the coaching grind?
Mm. I think the ability to just be around young people and ability to play a really physically, mentally, and emotionally demanding sport that I think can help prepare people for really everything their experience, whether it's football later on, or life, or marriage, or their job, or whatever it may be. I just think that there's this is the craziest game, because it takes, you call out 105 people, and 11 guys at a time taking the right step and doing the right thing, and the most people do the right stuff, and I think in unison, and that makes it tough. It's not 5 guys, not 3. It's just in unison. We got to be on the same page, and I think that's the beauty of the hardship of it. I think the culture aspect and the mental and emotional piece that you can build around this game, and this game builds in you, is something that has always drawn me to it.
Now, a while back, Kenny kind of perhaps a little tongue in cheek said recruiting is dead. Retention is really where things are in the modern college landscape. Of course, you guys have had on both sides of the ball great success, and we're keeping so many of your key pieces. How has the staff kind of pivoted to this new era where retention is just obviously such a crucial part in roster building, just like recruiting?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's become a really important factor, if not, a key piece of it, is keeping your guys and keeping your staff and keeping it's been an unwritten deal for a long time, and probably not talked about enough in regards to keeping your staff. The ability to keep your staff together and keep retention and the value in that. Now it's keeping the same thing now with your roster, with the free agency and things that are going on now. But I think that all starts because of the culture and the trust that you earn with players. The ability for you to have the glue that keeps people wanting to be here and treating people right, providing an atmosphere and a culture that they feel comfortable in, and supporting them, and having real conversations. And I think that's we're and I've been around a few programs that were like that. I've been around some really, really good head coaches and guys and cohorts that I've been around in my last 20 years, NFL and college, that have embodied that. And I believe it wholeheartedly. I think that the ability to earn trust from human beings is the things that keep things together, regardless if they're throwing money or they've got something else to do, is keeping people and being honest and celebrating them and their successes, and providing them opportunities to take them places they can't get on their own. And I think when it comes down to it, when guys have to make a decision and they've got an environment and culture like the one we've got, I think that's stuck, in a lot of places that maybe people were like, oh no, could it happen? So I think the relationships are the key piece to that. And I think it's one of the reasons that I enjoyed being here so much and chose to come here a year ago.
Kind of on a similar note, one of the cool things in the last few practices is you're sporting some NIL swag from some of the players. Your players, some on the defensive side as well. What's the motivation of obviously in this new landscape, being an active participant in that front?
Yeah, no, I think that's just that's the world we're in right now, man. As soon as that NIL thing came across and guys started posting like shirts, and you could buy it and it goes to their deal and all that stuff. I mean, I remember the summer I was messing around the summer and where we were at hanging out, and I got online one night. I'm like, I'm gonna order all of them. So I ordered all of them, all our guys that were on there. And then Sam came out and said all his money was gonna go to the rest of the team. So I ordered all of Sam's, and so now it's part of the deal. And I think it's really a testament to our guys that they've earned that opportunity. I'm gonna support it.
So, looking ahead to this upcoming season, just a couple days away, and fall camp just wrapped up. You guys are making that switch over to kind of the season mode, getting ready for NAU. But when you look back at fall camp over the last month, what were some of your personal key objectives for your offense, and how do you feel that the group collectively managed them?
It was good. I think that I always put the identity of the offense ahead of the goals of getting things done. I want it to look and sound and feel a certain way. I want guys to know, before you get into the numbers pieces and whatever it may be, that there's a certain way we're going to do things. And that's really what I obsess about. and they understand that, because we put that, the first thing we talk about is how do we come in prepared? How do we come in locked and loaded? How do we approach things? How do we seize opportunities? How do we execute? How do we improve? How do we communicate? How do we debrief? And then we get into, okay, how are we going to win games? What are the things that offensively are going to be things we can put some numbers around? And if they do fail in that regard, how do we reattack it? The identity piece that's non-numerical and those are non-negotiables. Being prepared, being tough, being a finisher, being a guy who is part of the DNA and the fabric of the personality offense, that piece is non-negotiable. The other stuff, the third downs, the explosive plays, taking care of the football, we got to coach the hell out of that. And we got to do a good job of this. Those are the things that end up being really at the forefront of winning football when it comes down to the analytics side, whether it's explosive plays, whether it's taking care of the football, whether it's being great in situational football, first and second down, third down, red zone, 2-minute, 4-minute, reduce negative plays, quarterback play. We'd look at all that. Don't get it twisted. I'm watching all that. But that's secondary to how we play, how we coach, how we talk about the thinking and how our guys communicate. And so that was no different this camp. It was it was trying to go through and eliminate the gray for some new guys, some transfer guys, and some new guys we need to plug in, some new positions. It was to focus and highlight some things we wanted to get better at and improve on with guys we've had, Sam being a second-year quarterback, JT, our tackle, Ben being flipped around a little bit, some of our offensive people. There's a lot of little nuances that we wanted to make sure we were checking the boxes for, and guys did a good job of letting us do that this fall training camp and understanding where we're going. The roadmap was very clear.
Talking about Sam, of course, we'll talk about the on-field component here in just a second, but how have you seen him kind of grow off the field as a leader? Recently spoke to Brian Ward. He said that during the Peach Bowl prep one night, he just kind of was wandering, wanted to get some late film of his own, happened to walk in, just Sam's in there by himself and just kind of putting in those extra hours and when those times that people aren't really necessarily watching. How have you seen him kind of handle all the intangible off the field aspects that go into being a successful quarterback?
Well, Sam's always been a self-starter. We saw that when I first met him. When we first sat down in the recruiting deal, I knew he was dialed into football. What he needed to learn in football was my job. He's obsessed with doing things a certain way and being putting all of his energy into his preparation, both physically and mentally. And so that piece is always been there. I think the transition now, that's always a big piece for a young quarterback who's now, again, first year in and now going to go on a second year and had some success, is being able to manage the expectations and starve distractions and really hone in on, okay, how did we get to where we're at, and making sure we're keeping the main thing. And Sam does a good job of that. He's very competitive. He's ultra competitive in a lot of ways. I think the regulation of him emotionally is a piece that's always going to be a battle, which is okay. I've had that before. Because he's so emotional, which is good. You can play with emotion, you just can't let emotion play with you. And so I think with in that essence, we've always talked about his ability to kind of have that cycle of snap that starts over and to begin mature and matriculate through the game and as a quarterback who can take the good and take the bad and continue to roll. And I think right now we're at a special spot because he's really starting to mature into the position, see the game a certain way, be able to handle a few more things, try to block out certain things that are outside noise, and really put his foot down and be who he is. And that's a challenge, and that's going to be really, really hard. And we've expressed that, and we've talked about it a lot. It's going to be really, really hard. The expectations and the noise and the magnification, unfortunately, at that position are what we sign up for. But you can't. There's no handbook for it. You just got to kind of get into it and hit it and go and start working every moment you can about massaging it and working through the kinks and how it's going to feel and the good days and the bad days. And but he's ready for that. He'll do a good job, and I'm excited to see him go out and lead.
Now on the field, obviously, he's getting a lot of Heisman buzz. You mentioned just kind of the external stuff, the noise that goes around with being a high-profile position like Sam. How do you think that do you see the opportunities for Sam to grow on the field the most in 2025 as a second-year starter?
All around. I mean, we've had quite a few guys now that are now still playing on Sundays. Most recently Justin and in LA, and same thing was again, vaulted into this position after a couple years there, and stayed his senior year again. And I think that he's earned that. He's earned those accolades. He's earned that position. But as far as like the growth after just 12, one season in a system, is to be able to take that next step in it is big. There's just so much more to do. There's so much more protections. There's so much more first and second down passing. There's still mechanical things to dial into. There's situational football that you want to grow with. There's more defensive understanding and recognition that you still want to understand. There's guys in the NFL that are, 10-year vets that are still learning to play and recognize certain things at the position that slowly start to slow down. And so a guy with 12 games under his belt's got plenty of things left to sharpen. And he'd tell you that too. So we don't let that stuff get in the way. There's always things that we're trying to get better at, whether, from physical attributes to mental attributes. We've got a long ways to go still. And I think he's going to do a good job of blocking that stuff out and staying focused on the task.
You mentioned Justin Herbert, of course. You're no stranger to developing elite quarterback talent, high NFL draft picks, and Sam's already getting that draft buzz behind him. Obviously, different players a little bit, but where do you see any similarities or common characteristics between Sam and Justin in terms of being those guys with kind of the elite NFL upside?
Probably to start with is just the mental makeup. Those guys are, whether it's Nick Mullins or whether it's Jared Goff or whether it's Justin or whether it's Coach Head Bo or whether it's Sam as it moves forward. I think the one thing about all those guys is the mental makeup. The mental emotion makeup is so high. There's a competitiveness and drive to those guys and self-starter thing that you really is really elite. And I think you got to go through the internal pieces of that engine before you even get to the ability to extend plays or throw every ball or layer cuts or go balls or whatever, vision or decision making and all that stuff. And decision making is probably when you can pull over that internal piece, because guys like that make really good decisions. They're prepared. They see things well. They respond to situations well. They learn. They've got they're well versed in what's going to happen and let alone how to adjust to it. The leadership piece, how to do it. I think the one thing that's different from maybe Justin to Sam is one example is Justin was more of an introvert, more of not an extrovert. Sam's very outgoing. You'll hear him. He'll be screaming. He'll be yelling, and for the right reasons though, because that's who he is. Both guys are never trying to be someone they're not. They're completely 1,000%. And all those guys I named that I've been around and had, and those guys are always themselves. And I think that's where those guys really earn their stripes, is that their passion leaks over and their ability to want to be great leaks over into everybody else around them. And they have what we refer to as probably the most common attribute of all of them. They all have influence. And that's the biggest thing that any quarterback wants is influence over the game or people or a system or the locker room and all that stuff. And so there's a lot of commonalities that I could go through in regards to what teams are going to look for, what I think makes a good that person, that player. But they're usually really, really tough. They're usually fearless. They're usually optimistic, and they lead well, and they usually have a mental makeup that's elite.
All right, so as we wind down here, I want to get your quick thoughts on kind of each of the position groups, and how you think that they stack up in your estimation as we approach the opener. Starting with the rest of the quarterback room, obviously it's quite a nice luxury to have a quarterback like Jeff Sims, one of the most experienced backups in the country, and a guy that's is kind of a dual threat, but also some younger arms in that mix as well.
Yeah, we got Jeff coming back, which is really, really good to have your backup guy come back who's got a lot of experience. And then and he's done a great job of finally being, for him, his first time only in whatever 5 years he's been in the second year of a system. So interesting again to have another guy who's only in the second year of a system, but playing football 5 years. And then you got Butter, who's coming in as a true freshman, who's picking up the playbook and learning from a high school now to college and having the game slow down a little bit. Cam Dyer, who's coming off an injury, who's going to be a guy who we haven't really had full speed with yet, so hard to evaluate in regards to that, but great attitude, good leadership, good aura around him, quarterback aura, point guard aura type stuff. So I'm excited to see him once he gets fully healthy. Christian, a guy who was a guy who's a walk-on for us, who's going to be another guy who can take some snaps if we had to get an emergency situation, and going to do a good job with our scout team. And all those guys are in our room doing a good job of applying themselves and really being the best they can in their role, embracing their role.
Of course, a lot of questions about how the team's going to replace Scat, but some very, very talented guys, some very versatile players in that running back room as well. How do you see that backfield kind of heading into the season, and maybe perhaps how do you looking at using perhaps maybe more guys as opposed to kind of a lead back as in the team has done in recent years?
Yeah, I think I probably went into it last year thinking we were going to have to prep some more guys, not knowing anything about the guys. So I think it's not that far from me thinking I had to find out what guys do. And I think more that the older I get, the more I think of that as what guys do well. So I think having a bunch of guys I had to watch collectively and kind of figure out what they could do independently and how we could pull it all together by committee or who's going to take the lead later if they do that it comes pretty naturally. Sip's done a great job. A guy who played for us last year, Leak coming off healthy. Kanye we brought in, who's been ultra durable in a place that does nothing but run the ball. The learning curve for him isn't being tough and run the football downhill. The learning curve for him is going to be pass protection and seeing football from a whole different strategic standpoint. And that's been the biggest thing. This brand of football we play is like being a freshman again in comparison to what he had. And so, but he's been awesome, tough, durable. For a guy we wanted to come in and be the workhorse or be a guy who thought we could run downhill, I think that's going to end up being a really good deal for him. Sip's done a good job too, like I said, but the guy who put on a bunch of weight, played last year for us, who really sees it's time to pick up the torch. Man's come in as a true freshman and flashed. All those guys by committee and the coach Iguana's got going have been awesome all camp and all very dynamic in their own regard.
And the wide receivers, of course, nice luxury to have one of the very elite guys in the entire country in that room. But it seems to be some more depth and some different guys that can do different skill sets that can do offer some various things for you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously JT coming back is a huge piece. To get him again in year 2 is huge. We've done some great things in this offense at other places with wide receivers, and he's a guy, especially when he can move him around a lot. He goes everywhere. Put him everywhere, utilize him in everything. But then to add some back with him and get Malik to come back, and a full role, to add Jaron, to add Noble, to get the samples, to get the young guys to add to the field of fire, Corey and Harry, and there's a handful of guys on that list at that position that I think have really bolstered the roster for Hines, and he's done a great job of getting those guys to understand what it is, why we do it. And again, when there's going to be time when you take some, when Jordan takes some pressure off Jordan or whatever it may be, or someone tries to take some pressure off Jordan, someone else has got to be a catalyst. And I think between the wide receivers and the tight ends and in the pass game, that's their role. And so those guys have been awesome, man. I think the diversification of how we use them is going to be fun. And I think those guys are all ready to rock and roll and again, be part of our deal.
And the tight ends, it just seems to be that this might be the most talented group in several years at that tight ends position. Jason Mon's doing a really good job. How fun is it from an OC's perspective to have so many quality, versatile guys that you can just deploy in a number of ways?
Yeah, no, that's a big piece of the offense. I was with all candor last year. I was really where I'd never not played with a tight end, and I'm pretty adamant about what I want them to look like and how they need to affect the offense. And I got here and none of the guys were here. And I think one of the guys had just transferred and who had played, or Jason and Mullins came in and my first cruise visit was to AJ's school in Northern Lutheran. I said, hey, this is the one right here. This is this class. This is the guy. Let's go get him. And then we brought in a couple transfers, Shimon and Kamari, both guys who are real NFL style guys who can really change the edge of a defense, who can play in the box, who can be a matchup issue in the middle of the field and vertically. I think you just have in this offense to have a tight end that I'm used to and want to play in this offense. You've got to be guys who are hybrids, who are Swiss Army knives, and they're hard to find. But we've been really aggressive in getting the right guys that fit, and we've got a handful of guys we really like at that position who are gonna be a pain in the butt.
And, of course, it all starts up front with the offensive line, the luxury of 4 returning starters. But, some experimenting now at the center position. How are you looking at the trenches right now with about a week out?
Good, man. We're excited. I mean, I couldn't be more fired up with the way, Coach Sotelli works with that group, and develops them and recruits them and treats them, coaches them hard. We do a lot of stuff with them. There's a lot of different run game, a lot of different pass protections, a lot of different play actions. We run a lot of screens. I mean, there's a lot to ask of that group, and so the O-line coach, Sog, does a great job with Ty and of getting that group ready to roll. We rolled a lot of guys in and out in training camp and in spring, knowing that Leaf had been the center point of snapping that ball for a long time, and having the luxury I had to have the conversation with him. I got here to be able to mitigate some of those verbiage things that helped. I think we don't have that anymore, but I think between Ben and Wade and Koo and those guys who were taking over in that internal role, it's been really good. It's been a lot of work. Those guys put a lot of time into it, and I think it's going to really bolster the roster from tackle to tackle. With Max and Skrill and Clem, and really that internal group rolling around the way we did it. We've got a nice group that's got some real depth to it. Some young guys who we may not see a lot of. It's not something you usually see in offensive line in good football teams right away. You don't see offensive line play right away. But just see some young guys out there practicing, some young guys in training camp that really are exciting to see. Champ Westbrook's going to be a guy who was here last year, who's going to be a guy who's going to be hard to keep out of the rotation and two deeps for some time being, and he's going to be special. One example, a young guy, but that room is big and strong. I'm a big component of getting big guys, big, strong, beat you up, tough. Big guys beat up little guys. This is the way it goes. And when you can run the ball, it's something special. And they can all move. They get out in the screen game and do a lot of fun stuff. So there's a great group there that have all really done a really nice job, and we've infused some transfers that I think have helped us just kind of bolster that.
How has facing the really strong Sun Devil defense day in, day out maybe helped to elevate the overall play of the year offense?
That's always a huge element of it. I think that the one thing that I've been lucky to have that mostly stops is we've had some good defenses go. I know how good a defense can make your offense because you see them so much, and we've got one of the best in the country to go against every day. It can be frustrating. You can be pissed off a lot, and you can be disappointed. And but we get after each other, man. We bounce a lot of different ICDs of a thing. I remember got here with Brian and with Ward and came in, and we talked about a lot of different things and how we do what we do, why I do what we do. It was a very big change from what he had seen in prior to me getting here to what it was now with just all the sets and formations and personnels and things we do. So I think we all iron sharpened iron in that regard. But we've got a really damn good defense, and so to see them every day for all of us is freaking awesome. And other places I've been, I know that pays dividends. So that's again a tribute to the whole staff and the whole culture and everything that Kenny's done and putting forth the larger picture of everything from special teams to defense to offense. And when you start to get on the field together and work together, you make each other better.
All right, so last one for you. Obviously, at the end of the day, wins are the only thing that really matters there. But overall, when you look back at the 2025 season, what are some of the things you're going to need to see to look back and be able to call it a success?
I just think playing to our potential and playing hard, playing together. The last year's success was not accidental. I mean, I think that we did that in a lot of ways. We did all the little things that we wanted to do. We had great intent. We stayed close. We were a good culture. We were family-like in everything we did. There's a ton of effort, ton of enthusiasm, ton of belief. If I was to say what I'm looking for is that multiplied. I mean, now you want year 2 of that. You want the elevated version of those things. I'm not looking for numbers. We're not looking for that because those will come. The score will take care of itself, and those are byproducts. The score, the numbers, the accolades, whatever those are byproducts of the beginning. And I think that it all goes back to us having a good football team that likes to compete, who likes each other, who works well. And if I look back at 25 and go, we didn't do any of those things, then we're probably going to be very damn good. And if we are a magnified version of those things, which we start to really put in the ground and started to put some water on and continue to seed and water that bamboo, we'll be damn good. We'll be paying the ass again.
I'd like to thank Marcus for taking the time to talk with me for this episode. I'd also like to thank Doug Tamaro of ASU Media Relations. Make sure you are subscribed here on YouTube and across all podcast platforms to speak of the Devils, as we'll be bringing you great content all season long. And make sure to follow me on all things social media at BDenny29.